Next asana for today, Parshvakonasana. Again, starting from Tadasana, we take our hands in front of the chest and jump open the legs apart, nice 4.5 feet. Now, again on one side, just to explain the basics of the pose, breaking it down to hand and then leg and then hand movements, we will first take our hands on the waist. And then for Parshvakonasana, just like Trikonasana, we dorsiflex the right foot, as in raise the right foot completely up, which helps us position the right thigh and right shin back, where the front of the thigh and shin integrate backwards, the kneecap is nicely lifted up, then rolling from the inner thigh to the outer thigh, where the femur is articulating in the hip, using that ball and socket joint, using that mobility, then rolling the knee and then rolling the ankle, making sure all three joints are in harmony, level to each other. We release a long foot, as if from the heel we create a long sole of the foot, pressing the big toe mound, outer foot bone and having the weight naturally aligned on the heel. Now here again, I want to emphasize that on the front leg, that is, if you are going to do on the right side, the right leg becomes the front leg. Usually the big toe can lose association quite easily. So a person starts to become wobbly on the front foot. This is especially the case in asanas like Parivritta Trikonasana or Parshvakonasana, where you lose the contact of the front inner edge of the foot and the leg starts, or your asana starts to become wobbly. So in any asana, right from the beginning, you will have to train yourself to anchor repeatedly the big toe mound, the little toe mound, the outer foot bone or the fifth metatarsal, and have the weight on your heel so your shin is nicely back and your thigh is growing in the socket. Now from there, we adjust the back leg hip, outer knee, outer ankle in one line, and then think of really growing the femur in the socket to center your spine and then extend the hands out. Now, for Parshvakonasana, you end up bending the right leg at the knee, but the right leg does not bend at the knee as if the knee just clicks to a bent position. Rather, it is the integration of the femur that bends the right leg at the knee. I hope you can see the difference. The first, where I am just clicking the right knee bent, that would not be the way you have to go to Parshvakonasana. You have to grow the left femur in the socket. Once it integrates in the socket, from there the right leg knee has to be bent. So you go to Parshvakonasana from the left femur. Left femur into the socket, right knee extending. The right knee has to extend such that the knee again opens out in the plane of the hip. The knee should not fall in front of the hip. That would again break the ankle's harmony. The knee should be rotated out in line with the ankle. Then you extend the hand. Extending the hand, creating that constant opening on the right side of the body, you have to think that you want the right rib cage to come first and take the support of the right thigh, so the arm will not rush down. If the arm rushes down, it will inhibit this binding. The arm should open out so that the right side of the body comes and takes the support of the right thigh. That is the contact. In Parshvakonasana, the right side body is supported on the right thigh. Then the right palm goes down behind the foot. And now first let us take the left palm up like Parshvahastasana and adjust the hip points. The outer ankle, first the three-pointed contact, that is the big toe mound, the outer edge of the fifth metatarsal and the heel. Knowing where the heel is, adjust the right knee back, right hip back in line with the outer heel without letting that frontal knee come forward. Frontal knee opens back. Now from there, as if there is a single line of extension where you are aware of this line of extension, extending your arm over, Parshvakonasana is where from the tip of the finger to the outer heel, the body has the same line of extension where there is a lateral opening with the buttock well engaged in, pelvis opened, diaphragm open, abdomen nicely chest opened, side body resting on the thigh. This is the way the classical pose is. Then pulling the body over that well established grounded back leg, we come up. Now on the same side, let me show you what happens when the distance is inadequate. Let's say she didn't take her legs 4.5 feet apart, rather her leg was a little short. Then the minute she starts to swing her hip, that is integrate the femur into the socket and bend the knee, you see how the knee starts to go ahead of the toe. In any bent leg asana, the femur to shin must be in a 90 degree. As you can see here, the knee is projecting more, hence the angle has become more acute. Here the entire pressure of the body and the entire extension tends to fall on the knee, creating a lot of load on the knee joint. This is unhealthy on the knee. For this to change, you have to lengthen the back leg out. And the minute the back leg is lengthened, you will see that the integrity of a 90 degree is maintained without the knee joint being loaded. So you have to ensure that you are getting that 90 degree ankle through a well opened leg distance. Second, many times we tend to elevate our hands on a block and go to Parshvakonasana. Now, if you're doing that because you're unable to take that range of movement when you're initially starting, it's fine. But essentially, if you are able to lengthen the spine, articulate the femur, release a long spine while going, you should eventually be able to allow the body to settle well on the thigh. That is, the body takes support of the thigh. The thigh offers support to the body. When you use a block, you don't create this binded supported system, rather you create a separation, which again is not the nature of Parshvakonasana. For Parshvakonasana, a lengthened body does take the support of this thigh, and there is that unified binding region. That is what we are seeking. So initially, even if you are holding a block, because the asana is new, over time you will have to reduce the height and take out the height until you are trying to create this binding region for Parshvakonasana. Now extending the top hand again over, stabilizing the back leg at the outer foot, heel and the big toe mound, you swing and come up, turn the foot in and jump feet together, now the other side. I just wanted to add, and in this case I will work on this as to how the buttock is integrated in one of the other upcoming classes. Generally, if your body tends to go ahead of the leg, again I am exaggerating it for you to get a view, but very many times when you go, sometimes you take the hand in front, jutting the buttock back. This will actually prevent the pelvis from nicely opening and also give you a pose that is not lateral, rather tilted. You have to draw the buttock in. The buttock must be drawn in, and the thighs, inner thighs have to be opened out for Parshvakonasana. The buttock should not protrude out, especially the turning side buttock. Left leg, left side if you're going left buttock, right side if you're going right buttock should be kept in. Now the other side. 3-point contact of the foot every time. Think of it as a fresh instruction, and we have to be mindful of that. Raise the big toe, press the big toe mound, open the arch, keep the ankle centered, outer foot bone or fifth metatarsal, leg bones over the heel, buttock tucked in, abdomen raised, diaphragm raised, chest not sinking away from the clavicle, chest lifting up towards the clavicle, broad clavicles, wide shoulders, sitting shoulder blades, arm lengthened, side body lifted. From there, take your hands in front of the chest, palms wide, elbows lifted, but deltoid not to lift up and close the neck, deltoid to be down, away from the neck. and then jump open the legs apart, traversing a crisp urdhva and a Parshvakonasana. From there, taking the left foot up, dorsiflexion of the left foot, and think of not turning the foot. First try to use the ball and socket joint, the most mobile part of the leg, the hip joint, and then you rotate the hip joint. The femur has to articulate and rotate in the hip joint, and then turn the knee and then turn the ankle such that you are taking all the joints to the same harmonious opening. Then from there, correct the rotation of the spine by taking the femur outer hip, which is forward in line with the outer ankle and in line with the outer knee, rotationally corrected, and then think of growing the femur. This femur has to be pulled into the socket, into the socket, into the socket, and at the same time the right hand should be charged to the right side so that the body's centrality is maintained. To go to Parshvakonasana, it is this alignment that pulls the femur into the socket that helps bend or releases the left leg to bend position. So, right femur growing in, left leg bending. Right femur going in, left leg bending. In her case, you see the knee is coming ahead of the ankle, dropping the arch. The knee should go out and the arch should be open, but the big toe mound should be pressed. Big toe mound is not pressed. Yes. Then from there, charge the left hand, right hand, and grow the right femur in the socket. Now, you are thinking of keeping the arm up. If the arm comes down, it will shut the side body. So, keep the arm slightly up, extend the side body out, see its relation to the thigh. Arm up, extend the side body out, see its relation to the thigh until the side body with an unobstructive arm is able to sit and support itself on the thigh. Then take the arm behind the foot. The top arm goes first to Parshvakonasana. There we will have to see all the lateral points of the body. The buttock in my angle, from my viewpoint, is very much out. So, she has to take the left buttock in and roll the right pelvis out. Left buttock in and roll the right pelvis up. This will automatically lift the energy of the spine upward, not allow the spine to sink down. So, left buttock in, roll the right pelvis out, and the body lifts. Now, with that, having the outer ankle, outer knee, outer hip in line, and then lengthening the side body, the arm goes straight up with the head turning and looking at the palm. Now, preparing the back leg, holding it firm, outer edge of the foot pressed firm, you mount yourself over the back leg, turn your foot in and jump feet together. In order to finish our sequence for today, last time we did Dandasana, proceeding to Padangustha Dandasana with our hands crawling. Today, from Urdhva Dandasana, I would like to go to Padangustha Dandasana. For that, please use height of choice. So, starting with a blanket and sitting on a blanket, we will now demonstrate. As I said, when you sit in Dandasana, right, it's very common, and I've been repeating this again and again, it's very crucial for us to understand how we should sit. We'll come to that later as to how to use the buttock bone to sit and what the crease of the buttock means in this relation. But very often we have to think that we are using the upper end of the thigh, which connects to the ischium or the buttock bone to sit. We are not really dropping the pelvis, and the pelvis is not used for sitting. The base of the sacrum, tailbone is not used for sitting, and every time you sit, you have to think of lifting the back of the pelvis straight up. That has to happen. Now, in order to enable this, another way to think of doing this or enabling us to do this is to integrate the femur. That is, you can see the minute I try to drop the buttock bone, the femur actually has no internal contact. This femur being connected in the hip joint is less. But if we think of keeping our hands somewhere by the side of the upper thigh, and then pressing our palm, lifting our hip up and really fixing our heel. My heel doesn't move, but rather growing the femur. You see how I'm growing the femur, pushing, elongating the femur in the socket. And if I sit, I naturally sit up with a raised hip, not a dropped hip. So we'll try that. Again, have your feet together. Okay, try and get your hands in line with the upper or middle thigh, where the hand is able to have a press force. Again, you have to see where the hand is capable of having a press force to lift the hips up. And then think of fixing the heel but growing the femur in the socket, and then sitting back such that there is an integration, a mindful integration of the femur in the socket. When you sit like that, naturally the back of the pelvis will be lifted and the sacrum and tailbone will not drop. With that action, take your hand to Urdhvasthasana. So with the sacrum not dropping, tailbone not dropping, lifting the back of the pelvis, the hands go to Urdhvasthasana. As you know, the function of Urdhvasthasana is to lengthen the spine and broaden the lower rib cage. Again, let me show you. When my hand is in Parshvakonasana, it broadens the middle chest region. But when I take my hand to Urdhvasthasana, the rib cage lifts and the base of the rib cage broadens as my hand lengthens. So there is a lift and broadness at the lower rib cage, which we have to accomplish. As the hand lifts up, the bicep lifts up, the outer armpit becomes sharper, the arm itself doesn't come in front of the ear, rather the arm sits at the back of the ear, and with that the rib cage is nicely lifted. When we use the word lifted, the innate or the underlying meaning is that it's lifting from something. That from should be the rootedness of the thigh. So as we said, that integrated femur rolls in, the frontal thigh rolls in, and the frontal thigh moves into the length of the back thigh. The frontal shin holds into the length of the back calf, and it is from this rooting that the spine lengthens from the sacrum, from the tailbone, the arm lengthens all the way up, separating the rib cage away from the pelvis. Then, maintaining that length of the spine, the arm is then reached forward to the foot. There is no downward action. You have to lengthen the arm. You have to think that from the sacrum, tailbone, lengthening the back of the body, lengthening the side of the body, the arm or the fingers entwine around the big toes. Then holding that, again you come into a triangular three-limbed position. The leg should be a long back leg with the femur tucked in. So the front of the thigh helps the femur remain in the socket and the back of the thigh extends. Front of the thigh, femur goes into the socket, kneecaps become locked and the back of the leg extends. The side body lifting the sacrum up. Because the femur is integrated, the sacrum will lift. From there, the side body to nicely lift front of the abdomen away from the thigh and the front of the chest as if it wants to lift through the arms, not sink in relation to the arms, as if it wants to lift through the arms. So the more the leg is down and the side body lifts, the more the leg is down and the chest will lifts, it will automatically create a long arm from that lifted chest to that foot. So all three limbs need to be long, with the front of the chest, front of the abdomen lifted, sides of the rib cage away from the pelvis and the thighs rooted down. If the chest comes up nicely, it will automatically release the chin a little away, and that organic release of the chin must be there. Holding that position, we will then release and move into Shavasana. Right. For Shavasana, we will remove the blanket and then prepare to lie down. You will first lie down with the legs bent, and as shown in one of the videos, the palms will completely encase the pelvis, for which we first keep the legs in half bent position, knees facing the ceiling, press the 3 points of the foot, rather 4 points. the big toe mound, the little toe mound, the outer edge of the foot and the heel, such that the sole of the foot almost wants to make an impression on the mat. You want to press these foot points as if you want to bind the foot to the mat, and through that you want to check if when you press the foot, does your gluteal set of muscles activate. You want to lift the hip through the muscle support and not just through the skeletal lift. So press the foot, get the gluteus muscles to respond. It will, if you wholly press the foot at all these points, the gluteus muscle will respond. Pressing the foot, slightly elevating the hip through the gluteus, encase the pelvis in your palms. The thumb will come around the top of the pelvis. The fingers will come just above the buttock muscle at the rim of the pelvis. So the buttock muscle starts a little lower, the rim of the pelvis is a little higher. So the fingers will come at the rim of the pelvis, not at the buttock muscle yet, at the rim of the pelvis, and the palm itself will encase the pelvis. Now you have to nicely traction the pelvis toward the heel to create a long lumbar, as if the pelvis releases away from the lower back to maintain the integrity of the lower back. Then keeping the pelvis tractioned drop by drop, you will place that lengthened tractioned pelvis and lower back on the floor, and then release your arms. Now your pelvis remains fixed here. As you raise the right leg toes up or foot up, it is from the right pelvis that the right leg lengthens. So you have to think that it is the pelvis that grows away from the lumbar to extend the right foot, toes soft. And again, left leg raising the toes up, extend the left heel away as if away from the pelvis, away from the lumbar, the left pelvis goes and then merges in the direction of the leg. For Shavasana, the legs are initially joined. Rotationally, the thigh comes in to join. You're waiting there, allowing yourself to get a few exhalations where the abdomen can nurture or move towards the spine. The pubic bone should be slightly lifted to allow that lower back rest. If the pubic bone is away, you will see the lower back hyper arches. You can see my finger come through. If the pubic bone is lifted, the lower back is rested. That restiveness has to come. Edges of the shoulder touch, and then you lengthen your arms, keeping the edges of the shoulder well rested so that the chest is open, and then allowing your thighs to separate, your inner shins to separate, and the toes to fall. Quietly close your eyes and be there, and think that with a quiet exhalation, every part of your vertebra, posterior vertebra, every section from the tailbone all the way towards the upper thoracic vertebra, every vertebra rests as you quietly exhale, and with an inhalation, allowing your body to rejuvenate. Be there, stay there for a few minutes, and then we will quietly end. We will now show you the end of the class, where you quietly roll your toes back up after first opening your eyelids, as if your closed eyelids open out, but you have no real desire to look out. It should be a very passive parting of the eyelids. After that, your toes roll up, and then you slide your legs into bent position so that there is no muscular activation. Then you turn both legs to the right side, that is, you allow your knee to drop, with that the body itself rolls, and then the right arm supports the head so that the head doesn't remain hanging, the upper arm supports. You bring the left palm in front of the abdomen, slightly pushing off the floor. You come up where you look at the floor without jerking your head to sit up. That's all for today's class, and we'll meet you in the next class. Thank you.